All right, so with the NBA draft wrapping up today, I want to talk about some of my favorite fits and some of my favorite picks from the draft. I'm going to get this right out of the way. I don't think there were any surprises this year. I think every team went to the pick as expected. And Loki, that was one of my favorite parts of this because I loved seeing teams draft with the fit and expectation in mind because it made everything, I don't know, to me it was so satisfying just seeing it all fall into place. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant. All that is meaning is I'm not going to talk about the first four picks. There's been so much coverage of them that I just feel like it would be repetitive, and you guys have already heard all that. So instead, I want to start talking about Ade Mara. Ade Mara going to the Oklahoma City Thunder is probably going to be one of the best picks in the draft in 3 to 4 years. I really trust this OKC developmental team to get him right and to acclimate him to whatever they ask of him. This leaves me with kind of a lot of questions and optimism about this OKC offseason. What are they going to do with Isaiah Hartenstein? Is he now expendable, or are they going to let him go, have some extra money to go and get someone else? I'm not too sure. I've seen a lot of people call him the Wemby stopper. I'm not going to go there yet. I do think eventually he will get there because he has the frame to do it, right? I don't know his exact weight. I know he's 7'3", pretty big, though. He's agile. So, yeah, I do really love this pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm really, really excited to see if they're going to keep Ihart and run all three of these bigs of Chat, Ihart, and Mara, or if they're going to let Hart go. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I love Ade Mara going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Next, I want to talk about LeBaron Philon Jr. I know March basketball is not the only thing that scouts look into, but you have to wonder with how well he was playing when the lights were the brightest, why he slipped so far down all the way to 22. And I really am going to question the 76ers picking him, not because it was a bad pick by the 76ers. I do think they went best available, but I'm just trying to think of if there was anybody else they could have drafted that was a better fit. I think LeBaron Philon Jr. was the best player on the board when they went to pick him, but I don't know if he's the best fit. He's going to be a backup for majority of his starting career, which I guess is expected. But this is a team that didn't really need a guard, and they went out and got one. So I'm kind of excited to see just how this whole situation plays out. I'm excited to see maybe they run Edgecombe at the 3, so you get Philon to be your main facilitator, run Maxey at the 2, have some scoring in you, and VJ at the 3. It could work, right? If VJ is a little bit smaller, 6'4", running the 3 is not ideal, but again, you can probably make it work. So I'm just excited to see. I just wanted to mention Philon dropping because that was a huge surprise to me. And then next, I want to talk about what I think was my favorite fit pick in this draft, and that's Jaden Quaintance going to the Spurs. He is, for those who don't know, an elite shot blocker. He's 6'9", can play the 4 excellently, can play the 5 even like he did at Kentucky a little bit. He is just a defensive menace. And I think putting that next to Victor Wembanyama is very unfair, and I don't think that the league should allow it. But anyway, Jaden Quaintance is the ideal 4 to put next to Victor Wembanyama, right? He operates a lot in the low post. He loves just being bigger than other people and getting to his spot. So I do think that it's going to take some meshing and it's going to take some getting used to. But I love the direction the Spurs went in this draft. They also drafted Terrace Reed Jr., who was another 6'10", 4. I think the Spurs killed it this draft. They got 2 positions of need, right? They really needed a 4 because they were running Champagny at the 4 for a lot of it, and I think you can tell they were kind of running oftentimes 4 guards, right, or 4 people that should be playing the guard position next to Victor Wembanyama. And again, it worked, right? They got to the NBA Finals. But I do think that they could have really benefited from someone like Jaden Quaintance being on the floor. And if this front court doesn't average like 6 to 8 blocks a game, I'm going to be shocked because they just, I don't know, they had the build and the players to do that. So again, probably my favorite fit pick of this draft. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they move in free agency, knowing that they have these guys now. Next, I want to talk about, to me, maybe a steal of the draft, maybe not. This is another just one of my favorite fit picks, and that is Koa Pete to the Phoenix Suns. This is probably a pick that a lot of people are going to just skip over because, I mean, Koa was advised to go back to U of A for another year, which I can't really blame his agents for doing that because not the best combine performance, especially when you can't really shoot that well. So, again, there is a lot of holes in Koa Pete's game to fill over the next couple years of his career to really get into being one of those guys. And I do think that Phoenix is the one place where his strengths will be of like utmost utilization, right? This Phoenix Suns team this whole season, similar to the Spurs, lacked a physical presence at the 4 spot. And I think him next to Mark Williams, offensively, we'll talk about that later. Defensively, I think that it is going to be amazing because, again, the Suns have a lot of shooters on that team. When you think about Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, they have a lot of guys that can just shoot the rock. And so I think having Koa Pete at that 4 is what this Phoenix Suns team needed. And I think that's really going to help boost this team into maybe not even being a play-in team next year. Like, I could see this team going to the playoffs, especially if guys like Gillespie played as well as they did in the first half of this year, where all that kind of magic started. So overall, I do really love this pick for the Suns, and I'm excited to see how Koa Pete will perform staying in Arizona, right? He is just destined to be in Arizona for his whole life. And finally, I know I wasn't really going to talk about the first 4 picks, and this is less of that and more so talking about the Memphis Grizzlies as a whole. What they did in this draft, I was a huge fan of. They were everywhere, right? So let's go over what they did. Obviously, at pick 3, they drafted Cam Boozer. No surprise there. And then they also drafted Bennett Sturts and sent him to OKC. And so I'm just kind of going down the line of picks. They also got Kareem Lopez traded to them. And in round 2, they got Richie Saunders. And I think there was one more pick that they had. I'm not sure, though. No. Okay. So that was their draft. They got Richie Saunders, Cam Boozer, and Kareem Lopez. And I think that's an absolute steal. That was beautiful draft work by the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm just really hoping they can turn it into something because, man, this team's low-key set up. If they do a Ja Morant trade and are able to get back even a young guard, right, like a same-age-ish guard, that's just a better fit for these guys, it could really be something, right? Because now you have like Cedric Coward, you have Cam Boozer, you have Zach Edey, and I know there's worry about fit there between a lot of people. Personally, I think it'll be fine just because Cam Boozer can shoot a little bit, right? But you've got a solid core now that you can back on. So I'm really excited to see how the Grizzlies move this season because they're going to be one of my most fun teams to watch just because I want to see how they develop. Overall, again, I know I didn't spend too much time talking about the NBA draft, but to me that's just because there weren't any surprises. And also, I forgot to put him here. Isaiah Evans going to Minnesota is another fantastic fit. I feel like in round 2, whoever he was going to, I was going to say this about. But I just think in Minnesota he is really going to shine, and I really love that for them. We do have – I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about the draft, and I don't really think so. Wizards I could see being a play-in team this next year, by the way. Trey, Keyshawn, Dybansta, Davis, Sarr. I like that team a lot. Peterson to the Jazz. I know I'm not really going to talk about the first 4 picks, but again, I know a lot of people that really wanted AJ. I do think Peterson was better. Acuff to the Kings is another one of those picks that was really, really good. Again, you from 6 to 8, 6 to 9, 6 to even 10, you couldn't really go wrong by drafting a Burries, Flemings, Acuff, Brown, or Wagler. And to me, that's really about it for the draft. Again, nothing too surprising. But I think that's good. I think it's good to just have a no-surprise type of draft. There is some other news in the NBA, though, that I think is very, very interesting. There was a report today that came out, probably 2 to 3 hours ago as of this recording, that LaMelo Ball is in trade talks. You heard that right. LaMelo Ball is in trade talks after the year the Hornets just had. I'm shocked, and I really don't know what even the talks would be about. I know that right now it is the Wolves and Raptors that are in huge talk for LaMelo Ball. So we'll have to see how that plays out, because if LaMelo Ball goes to Minnesota, that would be one heck of a team. There are also reports that I've heard that Anthony Edwards is supposedly not happy in Minnesota. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. It was something weird along the lines of, he sees Cat going and winning a finals. He sees all these guys that he used to be teammates with winning, and apparently he wants that same feeling. So I don't know if he doesn't think he can win in Minnesota. I don't know if this is him pulling a Giannis and putting the pressure on the front office to make a move. I don't really know what it is. But that is very, very interesting, and I'm very excited to be talking about that in just a few days, assuming that something happens, because I feel like there's no way it doesn't happen. We can also see what happens with Jaylen Brown. This has the potential to be one of the best off seasons in a good minute. And finally, I do want to talk about another trade that happened today. The Pistons are trading Isaiah Stewart to the Memphis Grizzlies for 3 seconds. So this kind of loops back to the Grizzlies, but I love this pickup again. Isaiah Stewart to the Grizzlies is a fantastic pick. And yeah, the Grizzlies have been cooking this offseason, I will say. I think that's really about it. Austin Reeves re-signed for a max. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I really think that's about it. Loved the draft from pretty much every team, and this offseason should shape up to be one of the most fun in a while.